Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. I want to start this video off by giving all praise to the Most High God through His Son, Jesus the Christ, and shalom and salute to my brothers and sisters. With that being said, I come across this thing on this channel, Bible Flock Box, and man, this dude is the devil the Bible speaks of. And I'm gonna sort of just show you that he is being deceptive. And I don't know if he's actively doing this, but what he's really doing is leading the Israelites astray. Satan is using him to try to lead us astray. So we're going to take a look at this.
I got a question on YouTube recently from someone who asked, what does the Bible say about women's clothing? Is it a sin to wear pants? Should we cover our heads? Or should we just dress modestly?
Now, we know in the truth that as Israelites, the women are supposed to wear dresses. They're not supposed to wear pants because that is considered men's clothing. And they are supposed to cover their heads according to 1 Corinthians 11. But we're going to get into that.
The question of women wearing pants arises from Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5, which states, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy God." Since women did not start wearing pants until about 70 years ago, and before that they wore dresses and only men wore pants, some argue that women wearing pants is a form of cross-dressing and they should stick to wearing dresses. But I'm not convinced, because the sizes and cuts between women's and men's pants are a little different. For example, can you tell which pair of jeans in this picture are designed for women and which pair are designed for men? Obviously, the pair on the left are designed for women because they are made to fit the curve of a woman's hips. Not to mention, in Bible times, neither men nor women wore pants. They both wore clothing that looked very similar.
Okay, so we're going to deal with both of those things. I just want to back it up real quick and listen to what he says.
Which pair of jeans in this picture are designed for women and which pair are designed for men?
Okay, first point is, can you tell the difference between men's pants and women's pants? Okay.
Obviously, the pair on the left are designed for women because they are made to fit the curve of a woman's hips. Not to mention, in Bible times...
Okay. So he said that you can tell the difference. So that's what makes it not cross-dressing. Okay, so let's play this little game. Let's do this right here. Now, can you tell the difference between which one is the men's pants and which one is the women's pants? If you said the ones on the right are the women's pants, then you would be correct. Like he said, you could tell the difference between the two. Okay, so let's try this again. All right. Can you tell the difference in the men's pants and the women's pants? If you said the ones on the right are the women's pants, then you are absolutely wrong. These are considered men's pants. I found them. You can look them up for yourself on Google. Top Man is the brand. It's a Swedish company that makes these skinny jeans right here. And these on the left, these are called women's baggy pants. You can just look it up on Google. Women's baggy pants. It'll take you to the site Woo Jeans. That's where I got this picture from. All right. So if you can't tell the difference, then what? Then there is no difference. So that means that it's men's clothing because it started out as what? Men's clothing. All right. Man. See, what he's doing is he's being deceptive and just showing you one picture of women's skinny jeans and men's baggy jeans. But what I did, I showed you an image of both to show that there is no distinction. All right. Pants are pants. They belong to men. All right, let's continue this.
Neither men nor women wore pants.
Oh yeah, we're going to deal with that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 28. And we're going to start with verse 40. Exodus 28. Let's start with verse 40. Exodus 28 and verse 40. And it says, "And for Aaron's sons Okay, not his daughters, his sons, thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles and bonnets, shalt thou make for them for glory and for beauty, right? The girdles, the head coverings, and the coats. Thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons with him. So that's who you're going to put them on. Aaron and his sons, not his daughters. And shall anoint them and consecrate them and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. Now here's the point. Verse 42. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness. Linen breeches. So let's see what breeches are. Breeches, definition. It says short trousers fastened just below the knee, now chiefly worn for riding a horse or as part of ceremonial dress. Now breeches let you know that they're trousers, and trousers are what? Pants. That's what it's saying right there. Except these were uh shorts, because it says cover their nakedness from the loins even to the thighs. We would call those shorts today. So from what? The waist to the knee, shorts. But pants, eventually, as it got colder, they would make them longer, as Gad did over here. So, okay, you may say, well, maybe that's just the priest. What about the rest of the men? Were they established for all the men? Go to Daniel chapter 3 and verse 21. It says, okay, now this is what the Babylonians called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which was Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. These were men from the tribe of Judah, all right? And it says, then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen. What is hosen, you may say? And their hats and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. What is hosen? Let's look at images real quick. Hosen. What are hosen? They are pants. That's what hosen is. All right. So, yes, men in the Bible had pants. Either this guy is just foolish and ignorant, or he just being deceptive. All right. So don't you don't you sisters watch this video and just be like, oh, we can wear pants. No, you can't. No, you can't. Not if you want to keep the commandments.
That looked very similar. Here is an illustration to give you an example.
Okay, so look at all these garments. They look almost exactly the same. Why would the Most High make that law in Deuteronomy 22 and 5 if everybody wore things that look the same? And if you're looking up under here, it looks like they even got pants on.
An article about biblical clothing on Wikipedia adds that while women's garments mostly corresponded to those of men, they wore a shawl, an undertunic.
Look, he said a shawl, right? That's a head covering. What's this guy got on? A head covering. What's this guy got on? A head covering. So that makes no distinction.
Their clothing was probably longer, had sleeves, included brighter colors, more ornaments, and also may have been of finer material. Also worn by
See, material has nothing to do with it, because he give you the laws on materials in Deuteronomy, later down in Deuteronomy 22 and verse 11.
Was a finer linen underdress. So even though their garments were similar, there were still distinctions between what women and men wore. The same is true with pants. There are distinctions.
He said there are distinctions between the two, right?
Between the two.
But we just looked at some where there was no distinction whatsoever. You couldn't even tell the difference, or at least I couldn't.
This is not cross-dressing. What the Bible really demands in terms of dress is modesty.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with that completely. You're supposed to dress modest. A short skirt is not acceptable. And what is this modest right here? You can see the outline of her legs, of her vagina right there. That's not modest.
1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 9 puts it this way.
This middle dress is fairly modest. This on the end, it just looks like a man's clothes.
I also want the women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes. To dress,
y'all know that we don't roll with the NIV, so I'm just gonna keep it moving.
Dress modestly means to dress in a way that is not too revealing and flashy. The main reason for women to dress modestly is to avoid leading men to lust after them. Let's face it, men are sexual beings, and it doesn't take much to get our minds to wander in the wrong direction. Even really tight pants on women can tempt men to have lustful thoughts.
And he He's using this woman right here as an example of modesty. That's not modest. He said even tight pants. These are tight pants right there. Come on now.
The same is true with a short skirt, for those of you who think that skirts are the answer. Skirts can be worse than pants if they're really short.
Right, I completely agree with that. I don't know about worse than pants, but just as bad as at getting men to lust after. So no short skirts either. Maybe like around this length.
So what can be done to avoid this? First of all, if you're a man and you have a problem with lust as a result of looking at women with tight or skimpy clothing, stop looking at women with tight or skimpy clothing.
Right, I completely agree with what he said right there. But it's not like the women out here today make it easy. I mean, they're all dressed like whores out there in their tight pants and their leggings and their short skirts and stuff like that. I mean, come on. You sisters need to get it together. I mean, we do too, but come on now.
This worked for Job. He wrote in Job chapter 31 verse 1, I made a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully at a young woman.
Look, you can tell that this dude don't really be in the scriptures right here because he's using the NIV and the NKJV. And you can't use the NIV because in Matthew 18:11 they took that thing completely out. So we don't use the NIV in Israel.
And if you're a woman, don't wear really tight or skimpy clothing. Be aware that the way you dress can impact a man's relationship with God and even his salvation. So
yeah, for real.
Cover up your body parts, please.
Mm-hmm.
There are also studies that suggest men objectify women who dress in revealing clothing. What that basically means
right, y'all know that's the truth right there. Y'all know that a man's more likely to just have sex with you and throw you away if you're wearing either jeans or a short skirt or whatever. So I agree with him on this point.
That they see you little more than a sexual object, and they also view you as less intelligent. So that is just more reason for women to cover themselves up.
Right, with a nice modest dress.
Self-respect. About the issue of women head coverings. Some think that women should cover their heads based on 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 13 through 16, which states, Judge among yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him. But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given to her for a covering. But if anyone seems to be contentious, we have no such custom, nor do the churches of God.
All right, I'm going to deal with that, with what he just said. Because he said the reason why that we think women should wear head coverings is because of this verse right here. Judge among yourselves, is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? All right. That is not the reason why. It is earlier in the chapter, the reason why that we say, according to the scriptures, a woman must have her head covered. It's 1 Corinthians 11, and I'm going to start with verse 1. Because he's doing exactly what Christianity say that we like to do. And he's taking it out of context. All right, so let's get to context. All right, 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things and keep the ordinances. Meaning what? Keep the order. Keep the laws as I deliver them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and that the head of the woman is the man, and that the head of Christ is God. So that's the order right there. It's the Most High, the Father, right? Then under him is Christ. Then under Christ, it would be man. And then under the man, it would be the woman. All right. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. I know that y'all can't see my head right now, but believe me, it is uncovered. Right? But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. For that is even all one as if she were shaven. All right. So that's the scripture that lets you know that a woman must have her head covered whenever she's either praying or going through the scriptures or talking about the scriptures. All right. Either praying or prophesying with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. So what? She's dishonoring her husband. She's dishonoring her man. And of course, that in turn dishonors Christ, and that in turn dishonors God. So you got to have her head covered whenever she's praying or prophesying, according to the scriptures. It says, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn, because women don't want their head shaved, at least most of the time. So if she's not got her head covered, then what Paul is saying is shave it off. Shave off her hair. All right. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, so if it's a shame for a woman's head to be shaved, let her be covered. All right. If you sisters value your hair, cover your head. All right. And this is why, verse 7, for a man, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God. So that's why a man is not supposed to cover his head, because he is the glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. So what? So cover your head, sisters. Come on now. All right, let's go back.
Paul was actually addressing a cultural issue relevant to the Corinthians when he wrote this that doesn't apply to us today.
Really?
In the Corinthian culture, women normally wore a head covering as a symbol of their submission to their husbands, and Paul approved of that practice.
Man, y'all see how much of the devil this guy is? He's trying to justify his actions and modern Christianity's actions by saying it was just a custom of the Corinthians. Well, let's see if it was a custom of the Israelites for a sister to cover her head. Numbers chapter 5. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to skim through this real quick. Start with 11 to get the context. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, and saying to them, if any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept closed, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner, so if a man suspect adultery of his wife, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled, so either way it goes. All right, then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her the 10th part in the ephah of barley meal, and he shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance. So this is what we would do whenever a man suspected adultery of his wife, but he had no proof. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord, and the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. Okay, so this is the point. The point I'm making is that our sisters always had their head covered. All right, it's not just the custom of the Corinthians, it's a custom of the Israelites, and verse 18 proves it. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head. It didn't say and uncover her head if she had a head covering on, but if she didn't, then there would be no point in it. What he said was uncover the woman's head, meaning what? She always had a head covering, and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causes the curse. All I wanted out of this was uncover the woman's head. Why? Because she always had her head covered when coming before the Lord. And it should be the same thing today. All right.
Probably saw no reason to condemn that practice because there was nothing biblically wrong with it, and he didn't want to command Corinthian Christians to do something which would unnecessarily cause them to be shunned by their culture. If anyone wants to argue whether this is relevant or not today, verse 16 should put an end to that argument. Paul wrote, but if anyone seems to be contentious, we have no such custom.
See, again, what Christianity likes to say they do all the time. They take it out of context. So what is the context of verse 16? All right. 1 Corinthians 11. Let's go back. Yeah, start with 13. Yeah. Judging yourself, is it comely that a woman praying to God uncovered? So judging yourselves, is it comely that a woman praying to God uncovered? Well, if you know the scriptures, well, think about it. Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? So what Paul is talking about is men styling their hair after womanish manner. That's what he's talking about. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering, right? So they're talking about the length of hair and styling of hair, right? But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. So if you want to argue over the length and styling of hair, then Paul said, then just disregard what I just said about the long hair. Neither we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. We don't care about how your hair is. We just want you to keep the commandments with the faith of Christ. He's not talking about the head covering at this point in verse 16. What he's talking about is your hairstyle and your hair length, right? Because, you have men today with dreads, men with braids, men that got plaited hair and all that kind of stuff. He said, if you're trying to argue and say, oh, you're acting like a woman with that hair, then we have no such custom, all right? Neither the churches of God. So, man, I'm going to show you why this dude, he either doesn't understand the Bible or he's trying to be deceptive, all right? Psalms 111 and 10. This is how you understand the Bible. Psalms 111 and verse 10. Let's get to it. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So first you got to fear God. Then you go and get wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. All right. His praise endures forever. You got to keep his commandments. And he's sitting there teaching women that they don't have to do his commandments. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. All right. I got another video of his I want to touch on, but Lord's will, that'll be the last one because I don't want to get into doing all this. Let me know what y'all think about this video if y'all want me to do some more stuff like this. And shalom. Most High in Christ bless.